All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started with our training today. Welcome to the Spring 2023 Student Organization Treasurers Training. My name is Amy Freeman, and I am the Business Manager for Student Life. My job is to help you manage your student org accounts and act as a guide on financial processes. My office resides within the Center for Student Involvement at 241 Kennedy Union. The CSI office hours are my working hours. I respond to emails during this time, trying to reply the same day, but generally within 1 to 2 business days is a good rule of thumb. Everyone here should be a treasurer or an officer affiliated with a student organization. This training will walk you through the most common financial activities of student organizations. This training today is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube within the following week in case you would like to access the training again. Please keep an eye out for correspondence on when that's going to happen. Quick disclaimer before we get started is that although the information today applies to all student organizations, there may be some differences in procedures for sport clubs or values-based fraternity and sorority life orgs, depending upon whether additional oversight is required or if your organization needs to adhere to different or additional policies. Maham Khan oversees sports clubs and Evan Englander oversees the value-based fraternities and sororities, so be on the lookout for communications from those individuals about policies and procedures related to your organization. Additionally, there have been a couple of president's meetings for this spring semester that were presented by Morgan Miller. While I handle the financial activities of student organizations, Morgan oversees the other administrative functions of student organizations. If you have any questions regarding event registrations, travel rosters, flyer approvals, etc., please reach out to Morgan for direction on that. And before we dig in, we do have a good deal of information to cover today. If you have a question as we're moving along, please feel free to drop a question into the comment section. Gwen Fox-Stump is joining us to moderate the chat section tonight. So if she sees a question from you, she will try to answer it immediately. Gwen is the Associate Director of Student Life here at CSI and has a wealth of knowledge and experience on the processes. So big thanks to Gwen for her support here today. And I will also stick around after our session for any questions you might have as well. And at the end, I will also present a QR code that you will need to scan so that CSI can document your attendance today. If you need to leave before the end of this training, or if you have issues with the QR code, please email studentorgsmoney@udayton.edu and let us know your name and the organization you're representing, and we'll get you checked in. After the training today, you should receive an email prompting you to provide some feedback on this session. If you have some requests on content to add to this training in the future that you might think is overlooked, or if you have ideas for topics on short how-to videos that you'd like to see, please take a moment to comment. The goal here is to prepare you for your role as a treasurer, so we welcome ideas on how to improve your experience. So our agenda, looking at our agenda, by the end of this training, you should be able to define student org accounts, understand your role as a treasurer, understand how to manage your student org money within 1850. You'll know how to make purchases and request reimbursements. You'll know how to deposit funds or accept donations. We'll go over some miscellaneous items about managing money at UD. And we'll discuss a few funding opportunities, and then we'll wrap it up with an 1850 and runway demo, as well as any other lingering questions and your attendance. Let's begin by defining student org accounts. Student organizations are important parts of the University of Dayton. Financial activity of the clubs on campus are seen as financial activity of the university. Therefore, it is important that treasurers or anyone else who makes purchases on behalf of a student organization exercise sound judgment when executing or authorizing expenditures, regardless of the source of funds. Also, purchasing decisions should be made by being mindful of the university's mission and commitments. All student organizations are assigned a unique focal string. This accounting code represents where the organization's money sits within the general ledger. The general ledger being the complete record of all university financial transactions. All student organizations must manage money in accordance with university spending policies, and all policies and procedures are documented in 1850 in the Student Organization Resource Guide, which we also refer to as the SORG. Your role as treasurer is to oversee the management of the financial affairs of your organization. You will add financial transactions in 1850, keeping in mind that the general ledger does not immediately communicate with the 1850 platform. Nevertheless, it is crucial that the treasurer or officers report all activity in 1850, which we'll walk through shortly. Treasurers also complete purchasing or delegate purchasing to student members. And treasurers manage the cash flow or track revenue and expenses by reconciling records against transactions in 1850. Managing your student org finances is accomplished in a handful of ways. First, there is 1850. This platform defines and tracks your student org's members, events, and financial activity. You'll use 1850 to make requests to spend money, track balances, and utilize the student organization financial management tool. Runway is another platform that helps execute expenditures by generating purchase orders and after the fact payment requests. You'll use Runway to submit requisitions, and later 1850 is updated with the transaction detail. The key word here is later. It's not always immediate. And so this is why we urge you to keep your own personal record of purchases to prevent overspending. Runway can also be used to process reimbursements for expenses made by students for their group, keeping in mind that the university does not reimburse for sales tax. The CSI P card is another purchasing option. The CSI office has 3 purchasing cards available on a first come first served basis and comes with a special set of rules that we'll cover later. And the last activity option here is depositing money. And again, this is a start of a list that we're going to expand on as we go. So let's start talking about 1850. When we go over the demo later, we'll cover how to update your officers. If you have not updated your role as treasurer in 1850 yet, please do so as soon as possible. We'll also cover the financial management tool, as well as the financial request form and some other functions of 1850. Logging on to 1850, if you're not familiar yet, you can access it at 1850.udayton.edu. This is your welcome page. As I mentioned, this is where you will originate most of your financial requests, so I urge you to log on and spend some time getting acquainted with its functions. The financial management tool. This is a tool that is designed to walk you through step-by-step any financial transactions you are trying to make. You'll find this tool in the accounting book in your organization's page in 1850, as well as from the budgeting tab. It's a big red button that's easy to find. And later I'll show you some examples of its use. As you can gather from the screenshot, the tool does ask questions related to the transaction you wish to make and helps guide you through the appropriate processes. The 1850 financial request form, that's the blue button shown here on the screen. As mentioned, all purchase requests must be submitted through an 1850 form. The financial management tool will lead you here and show you how to operate it, or you can access it directly if you're comfortable with the process. Both of these functions, the financial management tool and the financial request form, are seen together in the budgeting tab under Money. These tools ask questions about the transaction you want to make, and based on your answers, will give you only the options pertaining to your request. So if you're trying to reserve a P card based on your answers, it will not send you to a site to rent a vehicle or request a reimbursement, etc. Please always start with the financial management tool, that red button, if you're still getting acquainted with the 1850 processes. After you submit your request, it will show up in the CSI workflow where our staff, usually me, will communicate any approvals, denials, requests for either corrections or more information. We typically try to work with you to approve your requests rather than deny them. FOPL, this is an acronym for Fund, Organization, Account, Program, Activity, and Location. This account string tells the accounting system how to allocate your revenue and expenses. For example, if you're trying to rent a space on campus, facilities may ask what FOPL to charge the expense to. Your group's FOPL can be found using the 1850 financial management tool should you need it, and I'll cover that a little later and show you how to find that. P-cards. This is our most popular form of spending. The CSI office, like I said, has 3 purchasing cards available for approved non-runway purchases. This comes in handy for in-store purchases or online purchases where no sales tax is applied. For example, making a purchase from Joann Fabrics for craft supplies would warrant the use of a P card. To reserve a P card, a student must fill out a financial request form in 1850, that's that blue button. If approved, you will receive an approval email with the date and time you can pick up the card from the CSI office. The number of cards are limited and available on a first come first served basis. Like I said, we have nearly 300 organizations, so planning is important. The purchaser will be asked to read and sign a P card acknowledgement form before leaving with a P card. This acknowledgement will list all the rules associated with using a university P card. Access to P cards is a privilege for our student organizations, so it is the responsibility of the purchasing orgs to follow all the rules and regulations associated with using P cards. I'm not going to cover every item on the acknowledgement form, but I'm going to highlight some of those things that are newer or seem to be repetitive issues. First and foremost, all purchases must be tax exempt. If you bring a receipt back to CSI with sales tax applied, you will be asked to return to the store and have the sales tax removed. Only the individual who signs out a P card is authorized to make purchases. Exchanging the card between org members or other organizations is prohibited. No additional no additional purchases should be made outside of the 1850 financial request. For example, if you tell me that you want to go to Joann Fabrics to buy some crafting items and you get there, they don't have what you need, and you go to Walmart and purchase them there, that's fine. We run into problems when you tell me that you're going to buy crafting supplies, but then you end up paying to host a bowling party. That becomes an issue. So please stick with your original request. One update as of the spring, gift cards can no longer exceed $100. And organizations must email me with the name and UID for each gift card recipient, since it is a taxable consequence. And lastly, on this slide, purchases from Costco and Sam's Club must be avoided. That's a university policy. P-cards are due back by 10 a.m. the following business day after receiving it, unless otherwise agreed upon with CSI office. And if these policies are not followed, the organization may be penalized by losing P-card privileges for the rest of the semester. Runway. Runway is the university's e-procurement site. This is where you can make purchases from approved vendors or suppliers. Through Runway, organizations can pay national dues, registration fees, and make donations to external organizations. All students are assigned a shopper role. If you create a cart on behalf of your student org, you should assign your Runway cart to Amy Freeman. That's me. If you are a sport club, however, you will assign your cart to Maham Khan. Logging into Runway, you can access this by going into Porches, and you'll find the Runway link to click on the right-hand side. You can also access it by typing go.udayton.edu/runway into your browser. Runway reimbursements. Purchases should be made in Runway through a vendor or by P-card as the first choice. However, there are occasions where a reimbursement can be requested. All non-travel reimbursements are processed in Runway, keeping in mind the following. Reimbursements will not be approved if they violate university purchasing policy. Payees are called suppliers in Runway, and students are not automatically set up as a supplier. This has to be requested by the student. Students cannot process a reimbursement request until they are set up as a supplier. If the student needs to be set up as a supplier, they can sign into Runway and select Add a Supplier. I'll show you this example later. Then you'll follow the prompts to complete the setup. It usually takes a day or two to complete after all the information is received, so it's a fairly quick turnaround time. And again, the financial management tool will walk you through this process if needed. And also, good to mention here that sales tax is not a reimbursable expense. So if you submit a receipt with sales tax in Runway to accompany a reimbursement request, you will only be reimbursed for the subtotal or before tax amount. Next, we'll start discussing types of income or revenue. There are a few different ways to earn income. Collecting membership dues or accepting donations, fundraising and university account transfers, and also charging event entry fees. Tax-deductible donations. In order to give a receipt for a tax-deductible donation, donations must be made through university advancement. These types of donations can be paid by check or credit card at go.udayton.edu/give. Just make sure that your donor knows to put your organization's name in the comment so it gets applied appropriately. Donations not requesting a tax deduction can be deposited directly into the student organization funds. So for example, if your parents want to write a $20 check to your org, you can bring that into CSI and we can deposit it. But if your dad's company wants to make a donation and is requesting it to be tax deductible, they must go through university advancement. Some fundraising guidelines. Funds collected by your organization on behalf of another nonprofit org should not be deposited. We encourage you to send donors to the nonprofit directly. However, if your org does raise funds through your event and wishes to donate it to another organization, just understand that the receiving organization must be set up as a supplier in Runway. There must be an invoice to accompany the payment request, and sometimes you have to create that yourself. And as always, if you need guidance, you can always reach out to me. Deposits. All income that is generated must be deposited into your student organization account within 2 days of collection. Cash or checks are to be brought to CSI and Kennedy Union 241. For walk-ins, I ask that you please come in Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Otherwise, I ask that you request an appointment by emailing studentorgsmoney@udayton.edu. Checks should be made out to the University of Dayton, your club name. And important to note, funds that are not deposited through the established procedures cannot be guaranteed trackable by CSI. And also 1850 can be set up for online deposits if you'd like to have your members pay dues that way. If interested, please reach out to CSI for guidance on that. Imprinting. OmniSource is currently the imprinting company of the university. If your group is interested in having t-shirts, sweatshirts, or any other apparel made, This is currently the company you will use. You can visit promo.udayton.edu or contact Megan Works or Joanne Chang directly at OmniSource at the email addresses listed on this slide. Please plan ahead, not only for better pricing, but also to make sure that you receive your items in time for your events. Moving on to travel. All travel requires completion and approval of event registration and risk management forms. You must have the event approved in 1850 before reserving any lodging, transportation, or registration fees. Once approved, student organizations must submit a financial request for travel purchases in 1850. If you're not sure how to begin, please start by using the financial management tool. It'll guide you through the process of booking your accommodation step by step. Special note, student organizations cannot travel with a P card to charge additional travel expenses, nor can they make a cash withdrawal against the organization funds. Should a traveler incur expenses such as mileage or fuel, meals, and parking fees, they can request to be reimbursed through a travel expense reimbursement form, which is accessible through the financial request form in 1850. Original itemized receipts are required to be submitted with reimbursement requests. And as an update, screenshots or photos of receipts are no longer accepted by procurement. So we must have original copies or PDF copies only, please, going forward. Also, purchases must follow all university and CSI policies and guidelines. For example, no alcohol allowed. Lodging and airfare. After receiving approval for your event, you can then proceed to booking your accommodations using the financial management tool. This will guide you through the process of reserving lodging or flights so that it registers on our workflow. For lodging, the tool will ask you to visit the hotel booking site. I've listed it here, but you will have a link in the tool. You'll enter in all the requested info and the site will give you a selection of hotels in the particular area that you're traveling to, much like any other travel site. Once you select your stay, the request comes to me to complete the purchase with a P card. Alternatively, you should contact CSI if you're receiving a block rate or a discounted rate through the event sponsor. For airfare, the financial management tool will ask you to find your own flights. Then you'll contact CSI office at studentorgsmoney@udayton.edu, and then our staff will reach out to University Travel to book the flights on your behalf. Excuse me. Ground transportation. There are a couple of different options should you need a vehicle for travel. The first option is university vehicles. This is a low or no cost option for organizations, and they do provide different types of vehicles from automobiles to passenger vans. Gas cards are also provided with university vehicles. This is nice, so you don't have to have any upfront out-of-pocket expense and then fill out a TER form later when you return. Quantity is limited, so planning is key, and there are 3 ways to reserve a UD vehicle. You can go directly to the vehicle rental request form. You can search that term in Porches. Be sure to list your faculty or staff advisor in the comments so the purchasing can reach out to them and finalize the reservation. Another option, your faculty or staff advisor can reach out to Sandra Harris directly in purchasing via email at the email address listed on this slide. If you have a last minute emergency situation, Sandra does ask that your advisor call her at 937-229-2652, and she will try to help you the best she can. All drivers must complete the UD driver certification, which I will give a little more detail about in the next slide. And worth mentioning here, please tidy up your vehicle before you return it by removing all trash and treating the vehicle kindly as you would treat your own. This is a wonderful privilege extended to our students, so just be mindful of this when using vehicles so orgs can continue to enjoy the service. Alternatively, the university does have a contract with Enterprise Rental Car. To reserve a vehicle, you will fill out a financial request form in 1850. Select the option for Enterprise Rental Car. From there, you will choose your vehicles and select the time and date you want to pick up and return. It is required that there are at least 2 certified drivers per reservation. Once you submit your request in 1850, it will appear in the CSI workflow where our staff will contact Enterprise to complete your reservation. Generally, we do select the Dayton Mall location on Springboro Pike, but it also depends on the vehicle availability. Driver certifications are required as mentioned. Drivers must be over 21 years of age, and the link to this to complete the driver certification can be found on the Audit, Risk, and Compliance page, or search driver certification on the UD website. Some miscellaneous information here. Tax exemption. University of Dayton is a 501c3 tax exempt organization. No purchases may have sales tax included. All reimbursements will not include sales tax if included on a receipt, except in the case of fuel. Gift tax, cash or gift cards greater than $1 are considered a gift and are taxable for each recipient. Again, gift cards cannot exceed $100. And if you do issue a gift card, please email me with the name and UID number of the recipient. All other non-cash awards, gifts, or prizes valued at $100 or more are also considered taxable and requires reporting with the name and UID number, just like the cash awards. And if you have a non-UD recipient, just go ahead and email me and we'll contact the university for more guidance on that. Also, do not purchase items that are intended for individual members of the org with the intention of being reimbursed. When it comes to contracted services, contracts and agreements must be reviewed by CSI, and only the executive director for student life can sign on those. Funding opportunities. There are currently 3 options that are available each fall and spring. We have the Student Government Association, or SGA, Pepsi, and then Flyer Funder. So let's go over those. Starting with SGA funding. The spring funding, you need to apply by January 22nd. Organizations are eligible for up to $1,000 in funding. This must be used within the semester that it is granted, so it does not roll over into the next semester. There's also special request funding where orgs are eligible for another $1,000, but you must apply for the SGA spring funding first. And then lastly in this section, student engagement grants, that deadline is January 29th. And this is up to $250 per year that is awarded to individuals. I do not manage the SGA awards. That is managed by the SGA office. So if you do have any questions regarding these awards, please email sgafinance@udayton.edu. Pepsi funding for student organizations is open. Please check your weekly student leader email to access the link to the Google form to apply for up to $500 of Pepsi funding for your org's events or programs this semester. Also, please make sure you're accessing the form through your UD email. Accessing it through another email account will not work. The form will be closing at the end of the business day on Friday, January 20th. That's this Friday. Our team will review the applications this next week. And if your funding request is approved, you will receive an email from CSI with the details of your award by next Friday, January 27th. Like the SGA award, these funds do not roll over into the next semester. So please use your award in this spring semester. And I do manage the Pepsi funding. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me, or you can also email studentorgsmoney@udayton.edu. And the last funding opportunity here is Flyer Funder, which is crowdfunding for UD. This funding is available from the Department of Annual Giving, so not funding that is managed by CSI, but it is available for you to pursue if it meets your needs. The deadline to apply is February 28th. To learn more and apply, please visit your.udayton.edu/crowdfunding or email flyerfunder@udayton.edu. All right, so let's get into some demonstrations. So I'm going to go to 1850 here. I've already logged in. This is your landing page when you do log into 1850. At the top, you'll notice here are some announcements. In the middle here is the link to the SORG if you need to review policy. And then there's also a direct link to the financial management tool. Down below, there are some other forms here. Officer resource forms that has how-to videos and direct links that can be helpful when navigating finances and event planning, excuse me. But let's go ahead and try to find a group. Many of you know how to do this, but some of you are newer. So if you go to the top here, I'm going to find this group icon and I'm going to find my group. And today, 4Paws for Ability has graciously allowed us to use them as a demonstration. So big thank you to them. And this is the landing page for the student organization. So in the middle here, you're going to see some frequently used icons, but these things are also accessible on the left-hand side. So first, I'm going to show you how to check your officers and update if needed. So I'm going to come to the left. I'm going to come to dashboard, slide down to officers. And then here's my officer page. Up here in the corner, there's a button where you can add someone and adjust their permissions if needed. The preference is to have a set president or treasurer, but orgs, not all orgs are set up to work like this. In that case, please try to select just your officers and we'll try to accommodate you when sending out information. And then moving on to the money tab, I'm going to slide over here to the left and your money tab is down just a little ways here. I'm going to click on it. It's going to bring me right to the accounting book. Here you'll notice that the financial management tool is at the top of the page, this big red button. You cannot miss it. As discussed, the financial management tool has several resources to help students navigate all the financial transactions we've discussed today. Scrolling down here, we've got the accounting book. This is where you can see your organization's ledgers for revenues, expenses, and your line balances. If you have special funding, this is it'll also be populated in here. Please ignore this group funds line. It should have a zero balance. It's not something that we use. So if you do find some funds populated on this line, please reach out to me so I can have that fixed for you. Scrolling on down a little bit more, we've got transactions. This area will show the itemized activity of expenses and revenues. Understand that transactions may not show up right away, so it is the treasurer's responsibility to track their org's financial activity so you don't end up in a deficit. If you find an error, please contact Student Orgs Money at udayton.edu so we can research it and make necessary adjustments. Another option in that money tab over here on the left is the budgeting tab. I'm going to click on that. I'll scroll up here. Again, you'll see this financial management tool here at the top. Please always start here if you're unsure of how to proceed with a financial request so it can guide you through the correct path and processes. Under that is the request a payment button, this blue button. This brings you to the student organization's financial request form. This form lets you request a P card or a GFS card, start your runway cart, or build a travel reimbursement report, etc. So let's do a little bit of financial management tool navigation. And I'm going to show you how to find your FOPL. So when you click on that red button, you should see this landing page here. And of course, it's going to ask you what tasks would you like to perform? And in this case, I'm looking for a FOPL. So I'm going to click, I need my FOPL. And I'm going to, I need it for my organization fund. So I'll select that. And I need it because I'm going to deposit into my organization account. And then it'll prompt you to look up your account, your org. And then here we go. This is what a deposit slip looks like. And in the middle here, starting with this 8,000 number, that's your FOPL string. So this 8,000, this is your fund number. This is the number that is unique to this organization. Yours will be different if you're not in 4PALS. The second, the organization code, that will let me know if this is a student organization or is it a sport club. The third field here is the account code. This code is going to vary depending upon what kind of transaction you're making. In this case, the 632000 is a deposit code. But if you had other expenses, such as you're purchasing supplies or you're paying for lodging, this number will be different. And I'll show you when we get into Runway how you can look that up. And then generally these last three fields here remain the same, but I always urge you to come to 1850 and find your FOPL here when you go to enter it in anywhere on either on a form or in Runway. And then, like I said, the only variant will be this account number. So I'm going to start over here and I'm going to use this financial management tool to help you navigate a reimbursement request. So let's pretend that I have a receipt in hand where I bought some supplies for an event and I'd like to request a reimbursement for my organization funds. So I opened up my financial management tool by clicking that red button. So now I'm here, it's asking me, what would you like to do? So in this case, I'm requesting a reimbursement. Again, I'm going to select my organization funds as my source of funding. I'm going to find my group. And here it's going to ask me to verify the FOPL. Again, you can see that all but the account number here is the same as the previous screen we looked at. Again, this will be determined later after we figure out what kind of transaction we're going to make. So this is correct. I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Which would you like to do? Well, I'm already made my purchase. I don't need that. I'm not asking for travel expenses. I'm going to request reimbursement for other expenses. And this is where the tool begins to show me how to proceed. So ultimately it's telling me I'm going to need to go to Runway. So I'm going to continue. And the first step, it's going to direct me to log into Runway. So there is a direct link here. And if you also need to make sure that the person you're reimbursing is already set up as a supplier. So I'm going to say, show me. So the tool is going to have some screenshots and step-by-step instructions. This is what Runway looks like when you're in it. But again, it's going to show me how to check for a new supplier. And then if I don't see my individual or company that I'm trying to, make a transaction for, it's going to show me how to request a new supplier step by step. It's very thorough. I'm going to leave this and go back. So I'm going to pretend that they were already in Runway. So now it's telling me you need to complete an employee reimbursement form. And I'm going to say, show me. And from the Runway homepage, this employee reimbursement form is a direct link on the homepage. So this financial management tool is showing me exactly what I'm going to see in Runway. It's helpful to have Runway open while you're doing this so you can do it step by step. And it'll walk you all the way through, all the way to how to upload your receipt. So I'm going to X out of this and continue to assign cart. So after you upload your receipt and create a shopping cart, you're going to be prompted to proceed to checkout. So I'm going to continue. And this is the area where you will be responsible for filling in your FOPL information, a business purpose, and also the shipping address. And again, this tool will show you exactly how to do that. I urge you for the FOPL, again, grab it from 1850 with the method I showed you. And then when you get into the account, there is a function, and I'll show you when we do the Runway, there's a function that you can look up account codes by description. So you can enter in supplies or travel or whatnot, and it will help you narrow down your category. And again, it's going to, like I said, it's going to prompt you for an address, and it does not show the business purpose on this financial management tool demonstration, but I'll show you that in Runway when we get there. And then eventually it's going to prompt you to assign the cart. So when you have everything completed, you'll need to assign it to an approver. So again, if you are doing business on behalf of a student organization, please assign that cart to me, Amy Freeman. If you are a sport club, you are going to assign it to Maham Khan. So this is just showing you how to assign the cart. You can search by first and last name. I would just stick with that. It seems to muddy up your results if you try to put in department and role, etc. So just stick with first and last name if you're searching for your approver. And then eventually you're going to hit assign, and it'll come to me for approval. But you're not done. You will need to, the tool is going to tell you, you need to go back into 1850. You're going to go into money, then budgeting, and you're going to click that blue button, the request payment button. And then you're going to complete that because you need the financial request form to match the transaction that you're trying to do in Runway. And we'll go over a little bit of that here in just a moment. So I'm actually done with this financial management tool. So I'm just going to cover 1850. And here I am, I'm in that budgeting tab here. I went to money, I clicked on budgeting, and I'm going to demo now a P card reservation. So let's say we are going to Joann Fabrics for some craft supplies. And let's pretend we've utilized this red button, the financial management tool, and it's now telling me that I need to go to the request a payment function. Again, from your orgs page, budgeting, under money, or I'm sorry, select the budgeting tab under money, and you'll click the request a payment button. And then here you're just going to click the options that match your request. In this case, we're doing a P card, but I'm going to find my group here for pause. I'm choosing my organization funds, and I'll click next. And I am going to be making a purchase, and it's going to ask me what category. And in this case, other goods and supplies is the best choice. And now it's going to ask me, do I want a P card or am I using Runway? And I am using a P card. Next. And then it's going to ask you if you want to make an online or an in-store purchase. Specific purchases from a website that is not in Runway, you will choose the online option and complete the Excel spreadsheet that it generates. Let me just show you briefly. So if I click on online, it's going to ask me if I want to do a purchase from Amazon. I can say yes here. Anyhow, there is a link to a spreadsheet, and it's going to prompt you to complete it with the purchases that you want to make. So the CSI office has Amazon, Target, and a Walmart accounts that are tax-free. So if you find something online, you can fill this out and upload it. And then when I get it, I make the purchase for you. So you fill out all the fields. Please be exact with your quantity, and then a direct link to your whatever item it is you're trying to purchase. And then when I get done with the purchase, I send you all the invoices and the confirms. Again, this is usually just for Amazon, Target, and Walmart. Otherwise, if you're going to make an online purchase on your own, just select the in-store, but you will upload that Excel spreadsheet here after you complete it, and then proceed with the rest of the form. And it comes up in my workflow and I'll take care of it. So, but we're not doing an online purchase, we're going in-store. So I'm going to select that. So continuing on, you're going to fill out your phone number. It's going to ask you, do you want to use a Gordon Food Service card, which is a great option if you need groceries, and we're slim on P cards. Each organization should have their own PO set up with GFS. You just grab a card here from the office, take it, do your shopping, and bring us back the receipt. But that's not what we're doing. We're going to say no. And you'll enter in what stores you're planning to go to, what specifically are you purchasing. Be brief, but also be exact. And then you can fill in your date and the time you'd like to pick up the card. Then you'll just click that you understand, and you fill out your name and to quote unquote sign for the request, and then you'll click next. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to set up anything in the workflow, but then that will come to me, and I will look it over. And just know that submitting the form does not confirm your reservation. Your reservation is not confirmed until you receive an approval email from CSI stating that you've been approved to use the card. And also good to mention, once this transaction is complete, you've done your shopping, you've turned in your receipt, and you go back to everyday life, you'll eventually see this line, this transaction, your purchase, populate on the accounting page. But P cards are only reconciled once a month. So please understand that the university will not have this information updated until about the second week of the following month. Again, this is where we emphasize the importance of keeping your own log of transactions and anticipated expenses as to not go into deficit. So I'm going to now go to Runway and do a little demo here. Again, Runway is the university's preferred means for orgs to make purchases. Here in the middle, we have some showcases. These are the links to the specific online stores where you can order items on your own. For example, if we go into this Home Depot and say we're going to build something, let me select the store here. So I'm going to select Centerville. Say you had a project and you're trying to build a structure, maybe just trying to find something easy to get in a cart. You can do your shopping, add things to your cart, and when you're satisfied, you can click the checkout button. So it functions much like the regular Home Depot site. Except for now, Runway is going to create a cart for you. Here, you'll review your items, make sure everything is correct. And then you will hit proceed to checkout. So here, you may be prompted to enter a shipping address. Anywhere that you see a red required marker, you'll need to complete those fields. So here is your FOPL, and I'm not gonna, we kind of went over this with the Runway, but I do, I'm sorry, with the financial management tool demo when it was showing us Runway examples, but I'm just gonna show you real quick. Again, pull your FOPL from 1850 and populate it. But when it comes to looking up the account code, you can do a search. And if you know the value, you can enter it, but if you need to find a description, so say it's for supplies, filter, it will give you a list of codes, and you just find the one that best applies to your transaction. And then you'll save it. And then down here, below the FOPL information, that's where you would put in your business purpose. So please, if you do a runway cart, always put in your business purpose, because I'm terrible at guessing and it has to be filled in. So let's see here, we'll close that out. Okay, and then when you are ready, you would, when you have all these fields are completed, no more red, you're going to assign the cart. Again, student organizations come to me, Amy Freeman. Sport club transactions go to Maham, and this is the same as the financial management tool demo. You just go through, you can search, find your individual by first and last name, and select them from the list. And to save on time, I'm not going to get into that because we already saw pictures of that before. So couple last things here. I want to go back to the home page. So in these showcases, worth mentioning, there is the America to Go function. Please choose that if you're going to get off-campus catering. There are a list of restaurants in this button that are approved. We cannot use P cards to purchase catering. So please use this America to Go function and select from one of the vendors in this button. And it will directly go to the restaurant and your order is automatically paid. So it's a really nice feature. And then underneath that is the OmniSource button should you need to get some imprinting. And then below we have the forms. And so when we did the financial management tool demo, we went over this employee reimbursement function. I'm not going to go over the other ones because they function exactly the same way. They're the exact same forms for the most part. The difference is the type of form you are uploading. For employee reimbursements, that is if you have a receipt to upload because you've already made purchases and you need a reimbursement, right? So you would upload a receipt here. The payment request is if you have an invoice from a vendor that you need to pay and a check needs to be mailed out, you would choose that selection. Keeping in mind, none of these features work unless the vendor is set up as a supplier in Runway, and I'll cover that in just a second. And these first two boxes used a little less not used as often. Non-catalog purchases, that's usually if you have reoccurring or anticipated expenses coming up and you have a quote from a vendor that you need to upload. So you would use either one of these two boxes based on the amount. And lastly, we'll come up here to look for the supplier function. So over here on the left, I'm going to scroll down to this little icon with the 3 heads, and that's my supplier icon. And I can come over here to this field and type in a name to see if someone is set up already. And if they are not, and I need to set them up, I can come over here to requests and then select request a new supplier. If you're doing this on behalf of someone else, please have a valid email and name. You can submit that. It'll send an email to the potential supplier, prompting them to take action and complete the form. And once they have done that and UD has all the information needed, it usually just takes a couple business days. It's usually a pretty quick turnaround time. And after that, then you can submit your receipts or invoices or whatnot. So that's about it for the demo. If you have questions carrying out any of these functions, any financial functions, you can always reach out to CSI for help. I'm going to put up this QR code for you. But yeah, you can always reach out to us for help. We will consistently suggest that you start with that financial management tool before reaching out to us. Like we keep saying, it's a valuable resource with the step-by-step guides and screenshots. And it can be a more efficient use of your time rather than waiting for a response from our team. So again, but don't let that deter you from reaching out to us if you're confused or having trouble finding solutions. At any rate, I am open to some questions now if Gwen wasn't able to get to you. And if you have any issues with this QR code, again, email me at studentorgsmoney@udayton.edu. Let me know your name and the student org you're representing. And here, let me put that in for you. Yes. Student orgs money@udayton.edu. Here we go. Oh, let me get that. There you go. Yeah, if you can't access this QR code, again, email that email address and let me know the org you're representing and I'll get you checked in. So I'll stick around. If anyone has any questions, I'll stick around for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, thank you all for showing up here today. And I hope you gain some valuable information. And if you think of something later, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.